All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving headfirst into the crypto markets.
Ooh, sounds exciting.
It is, believe me. We're dissecting the latest report from Crypto Deep Dive, and let me tell you, it's a wild ride.
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
Okay, so you know everyone wants to know what's really going on, what's really shaking things up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So we're going to unpack all of that, the major market swings, the security issues that'll make you want to double-check your wallet, and Ethereum's unstoppable climb.
Can't forget about that. It's been on a tear.
And oh, did I mention the Bitcoin roller coaster that followed the U.S. election?
Things got a little crazy there, huh?
Let's just say, interesting times.
Interesting is putting it mildly. We're navigating a landscape that's just, well, full of volatility and intrigue.
Exactly. So to kick things off, let's talk about a story that, honestly, it makes me want to double-check my own crypto wallet security.
Oh, no. What happened?
Remember the DXX hack on Solana?
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, the fallout is even bigger than we initially thought. Over 8,600 Solana wallets compromised, with a total of $30 million just poof, gone.
That's just wild. It's not just the scale of it, though.
Right.
It's the individual losses, too. Some people lost, well, under $10,000, which is still terrible, of course.
Of course.
But others, they lost over $1 million.
It's a tough pill to swallow, for sure.
It really highlights the fact that even with all the progress, all the security advancements, DeFi platforms are still vulnerable.
It makes you wonder if any platform can really be considered secure when millions can just disappear overnight.
That's the question, isn't it?
Right. Okay, let's move on to something slightly less terrifying. There's a curious trend happening in the ETF world.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Ether ETFs, they're actually seeing more investment coming in than Bitcoin ETFs.
That's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people still see Bitcoin as, the king of crypto.
The OG, for sure.
So this shift, it feels pretty significant. What do you think?
It's definitely a sign of something. While Bitcoin's not going anywhere, this surge in Ether ETF investment, it could mean growing confidence in Ethereum and its DeFi ecosystem. Ethereum hit a new high recently, $3,620.
Wow.
It's attracting a lot of attention, especially from those big institutional investors.
So maybe Ethereum is becoming the new darling of the crypto world.
It's definitely a contender.
All right, speaking of Ethereum, let's talk about this explosion of Layer 2 solutions.
Yes, Layer 2, everyone's talking about it.
And for good reason. The total value locked in Ethereum's Layer 2 solutions just went over $51.5 billion.
That's incredible.
It's a 205% increase this year. Just mind-blowing.
It's a lot of growth, that's for sure. It's all driven by this need for scalability on Ethereum.
Right.
Layer 2 solutions are like, imagine giving Ethereum a turbo boost.
Okay, I like
They offer faster transactions, lower fees. It's essential if we want to see wider adoption.
For those who are still trying to understand all this, could you break down Layer 2 solutions in simple terms? Like, explain it to your grandma who can barely use email.
All right.
Right.
Imagine Ethereum is a busy city, but the roads are jammed, everything is slow and expensive.
Okay, I can see that.
Layer 2 is like building a high-speed train around the city.
I get it.
Faster travel, less traffic, and it makes things cheaper too.
So it's all about making things more efficient and user-friendly.
Exactly. Like building express lanes,
Yeah.
but on a much bigger scale. And it's working too. Look at Base, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the top Layer 2 networks, and they just hit a major milestone. 1 billion transactions.
1 billion.
1 billion. It shows you how quickly these solutions are being adopted.
Wow, that's really impressive. It shows the demand for, scalable solutions,
Absolutely. But let's move on to a topic that always seems to be looming over the crypto regulation.
Yep, that's the one.
It's a topic that gets people fired up, either excited or scared.
Yeah, I get that.
It's a constantly changing landscape, and it can be a minefield to navigate, especially as governments around the world try to figure out what to do with this whole crypto thing.
It's like trying to hit a moving target, isn't it?
Exactly.
And speaking of moving targets, Coinbase recently made headlines when they stopped offering USDC rewards in Europe.
Oh, yeah, the European Economic Area.
Right, that has to be a big deal for users over there.
It is. It comes down to this new regulation in Europe, MiCA.
MiCA, right.
It's basically an attempt to create one set of rules for crypto across the EU, and that includes stablecoins like USDC.
I see.
So Coinbase's decision, it's them responding to the pressure to comply with these stricter regulations. It's a sign that the Wild West days of crypto, at least in Europe, they're coming to an end.
So it's a balancing act, right?
Yeah.
Fostering innovation, but also making sure everyone's playing by the rules.
Exactly.
Which is never easy. And while Europe's taking this proactive approach, the U.S. has its own set of challenges.
Definitely.
Especially with this tension between traditional banks and the crypto industry.
Yeah, it's no secret that they haven't exactly been the best of friends.
There's definitely some friction there. What's your take on all that?
Well, it's not hard to see the tension, right? Over 30 crypto founders have been denied banking services here in the U.S.
Really?
It shows you how much resistance there is from traditional financial institutions. They see crypto as a threat, a disruptor to their established systems.
It's like this old guard versus new school standoff. Who's going to blink first?
That's the big question. This clash between traditional finance and the crypto world, it's not over.
Not by a long shot.
And the outcome is going to have a big impact on both sides. Before we move on,
Yeah.
I think it's worth circling back to something you mentioned earlier about the tension between traditional finance and the crypto world.
Right.
It's a dynamic that's playing out everywhere, and this whole push for crypto ETFs, that's a perfect example.
It's true. That's a really good point. For a lot of people, crypto investing just feels like a completely different animal compared to, like, the stock market.
Totally. It can be intimidating even for those of us who are used to stocks and bonds.
Exactly. And the learning curve is steep.
It is, and the volatility doesn't help.
Not at all.
It doesn't exactly inspire confidence in those who are new to the game.
Makes sense.
That's why the idea of crypto ETFs has gained so much traction.
Yeah, I see that.
It's like this bridge between the two worlds, a way to make crypto investing more accessible.
More familiar, too.
Exactly. So instead of trying to figure out all these complex trading platforms and worrying about losing your private keys,
Ugh, don't even get me started on private keys.
you could just buy shares of a crypto ETF through your regular brokerage account.
That would be a game changer for so many people.
It would simplify things immensely. And maybe even more importantly, it brings in this level of regulation that's been missing in a lot of the crypto space.
That's a good point.
Remember, these ETFs would be traded on regular stock exchanges. So they'd have to follow the same rules and offer the same protections as any other publicly traded security.
Makes sense.
Which is a big deal for institutional investors, especially they have all those compliance requirements.
True. And it could also bring in more of those everyday investors who are a little hesitant to jump into the, what did you call it?
The Wild West of crypto exchanges.
Haha, exactly. But let's be real, there are still some hurdles, right?
Oh, for sure.
We've seen some pushback from regulators. They're worried about things like market manipulation and investor protection.
Of course, those are valid concerns. But the fact that companies like Bitwise,
Right.
they're willing to convert their, billion-dollar crypto funds into ETFs.
It's a big statement.
It shows the momentum, It's a sign that the industry is maturing, figuring out how to meet the needs of a wider range of investors.
It's like watching a new chapter unfold, one that could change the whole game.
It's exciting times.
It is, but, let's not forget, crypto is more than just an investment, right?
Right.
It's a technology that could really shake things up in industries way beyond finance.
Absolutely.
And one of the most exciting areas is decentralized finance.
DeFi.
That's the one, DeFi, as the cool kids call it.
Huh, right. It's often hailed as the future of finance.
Yeah, I've heard that.
This promise of a more open, transparent financial system that's accessible to everyone.
Sounds pretty utopian.
It does, but I think it's important to really break it down and understand what that actually means.
Yeah, let's get practical here.
What are the real benefits that DeFi can offer everyday people?
Exactly, because it's easy to get lost in the buzzwords,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about traditional finance. It relies on all these intermediaries, banks, financial institutions.
Right.
They're the gatekeepers controlling access and often charging a lot for their services.
And DeFi cuts them out.
That's the goal, to empower individuals to take control of their own finances.
So instead of going to a bank for a loan, you could borrow directly from other people through a DeFi platform.
Exactly.
It sounds almost too good to be true. What's the catch?
Well, like any new tech, it has its risks. We've talked about security.
Right, that's a big one.
And with DeFi, that's even more important. Smart contract vulnerabilities, scams, these are real concerns.
So people need to be careful.
They need to do their research, understand the risks.
So it's like exploring uncharted territory, big potential rewards, but also big potential dangers.
That's a good way to put it. But for those who are willing to navigate all that, DeFi offers a level of freedom and control that you just don't get with traditional finance.
Interesting. So we've covered crypto ETFs and DeFi, both really pushing the boundaries of what's possible in finance.
Pushing the envelope for sure.
It's been a wild ride exploring the crypto landscape, the potential risks and rewards, the possibilities that lie ahead.
And there's always more to learn.
Always. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, stay curious, and remember,
The future of crypto is in our hands.
until next time.